Today we'll be showing you guys how to edit and create your vertical videos within DaVinci Resolve. It's very simple, and I will keep this as straight to the point as possible. So I'll show you this from start to finish and we'll jump right in. And before we do that, if you guys get that like and subscribe, it really helps me out. And now let's jump into the video. So you can go down to Chrome, Safari, whatever you're using. I'm using a Mac right now, so I'm just going to use Chrome because to me that's still the best. You just want to type in DaVinci and it should pop up. Usually be at the top first or second option, but it'll say DaVinci Resolve 20. It is under Blackmagic Design. These are the actual creators. They make Blackmagic cameras. They're very popular in the film world. If you don't see DaVinci website, it doesn't exist, but this is it right here. When you're inside of this, it will have a little banner. It may look a little bit different if you have updated it, or if you're watching this at a later time. Just scroll down. It's usually the first link that you see. It gives you options to download this for free, or you can pay online and get the paid version. I do have the studio version, but you can do this in the free version, and you just want to click either one. And in here, you have the option to actually select your OS, your operating system. So for me, I have Mac. I'm going to download the Mac version. If you have a Linux, you do Linux. If you have Windows and it's just the traditional Windows computers with the Intel processors, you would want to use the x86. If you have a ARM processor, use the Windows ARM. They are two different things, so that will make a big difference for Windows users. For everyone else, it's the same. Now, if you are using this for the very first time, it will show you this menu. So you just type in your first, last name, email, phone, just the things that have the little asterisks on there. It's just making sure that it knows it is a person downloading it and not a bot. And then you just want to hit register download and it will start downloading. And for Chrome, it usually shows up right here in the corner. Everything else, I think Mac OS Safari is all about the same thing. Once it downloads, it will pop up this menu that just basically states that it is downloading right now in the background. As you can see at the top right, it's downloading right here. I'll let this finish just to show you what the setup looks like, even though I already have it. Of course, if it does not download automatically, you can click this little link with your operating system and it will download for you. Once it finishes, you can just go to this inside of Chrome and hit the folder. If not, just go to your My Finder, or if you're on Windows, go to My Folder. If you double tap it on Mac, it would typically populate where it starts to transfer the zip file, but I'm just going to cancel it because I already have DaVinci installed. For Windows, you just want to right click and you can press install. It does the same thing. Go through all the prompts. It's going to ask you to agree, all the big paragraph. When you first boot up DaVinci for the first time, it may give you the option of, changing the custom settings if you want to. I've set mine up originally like DaVinci Resolve, or you can choose set up like Adobe Final Cut if you want to make that familiar. For me, I would just say I recommend to stick into DaVinci Resolve's presets because it makes it a lot easier. Just get used to it. And I will also recommend that you use a monitor, because on monitors you can see everything in here. Like down here at the bottom, you can see media, cut, edit. If you are on a laptop, these words may not exist. They may just have, little icons. But basically now we have our software booted up. So I'll walk you through the layout a little bit for DaVinci. So on the top left, you have your folders. These are the same as your My Finder, the same as your My Folder on Windows. You can just select these and go to your hard drives and find your files and drag them directly to the media pool. Always drag them here. This is not DaVinci. This is DaVinci. It just shows your files. So for like example, you see my folders, it's going to populate. If I click this, it goes deeper. Just drag it into the actual media pool. That's what this is. Or you have another option. You can actually go to the bottom of your computer for Windows and Mac now. Go to Finder or your My Folder, and just as an example, these are just my downloads. I can just drag a clip into here. So you see it has a plus sign. That will allow me to drag that clip in there. So these are different options. I will actually show you this way. Let me just bring in my hard drive, just double tap. Let's go to a random video. I'm just gonna select my file. Let's go to all videos. Let's just do 2015 or 2025 actually. And I'll just drag this. Actually, that's not the best clip. I'll drag this one in. So as you see, I'm pulling this directly from DaVinci. This is my hard drives. It does give you the option to change the frame rate and everything. Don't change this because it just gives you a headache. It will lock it into whatever frame rate your video file is, but this is something you don't want. And that will make more sense later on. So let's just hit don't change. And it just brings a clip in natively. So nothing's changed. That's all you're doing on the media page. You're just dragging any clips. So just an example, I'll drag another clip, I'll drag another one, or if I want to go to Finder or your My Folder, and I can just drag it in this way too. So I'm just dragging in clips. As you see, they're all right here. I'm just bringing it to the media pool. That's all I'm doing. Media is just media. You can't mess up anything. It's just dragging your files in. If you do click these files, you can see where everything is. It just tells you what part of the hard drive is stored and where. So if I ever lose it, I have videos on how to relink your media, but I won't bore you with that today. Now we're gonna move over to actually editing. You can use the cut page. I just personally dislike the cut page. It's better for if you're on your laptop to give you a little bit more real estate, but I just don't like this, and that's probably because I come from Adobe. Not that DaVinci did it bad, I think they did it one of the best, but I just don't like that format, whether it's Final Cut or whatever. I just prefer this. So let's go over to our edit page. This is always the third one. I just think 3 is a charm, so go to edit, and now we have a file. Now you normally would just drag this over. If you see this, it automatically populates a thing over here, and that will give you an option to a timeline, which pops up at the top left of the screen. But I don't want that option, and I will show you why. If I bring in a clip right here, let's have our clip, let's slide it all the way to the front. My timeline, if I go into timeline settings, all of this, even if I uncheck it, is locked. My frame rate is locked at 24 frames per second because that's where I export the video. I can change my layout, my vertical resolution stuff, but I don't like the fact that this is all blocked off. It just gets rid of it and you can't change it back. That's why I said leave your frame rates the same. Hit Control Z or Command Z if you did the same thing as me and just get rid of it. And what we will actually do is create our own timeline. So just right click inside this little side right here, right click it. Let's go to create new timeline. When you create new timeline, DaVinci typically has this one right here. I don't like this one, and the reason why is when you export subtitles, it throws off your timing on YouTube tremendously. Like it just never, I didn't realize this was such an issue until I watched back my videos and realized that it was happening to me. So make sure you erase this one. Typically they'll have one right there. Erase that one and put a 0, so it is a true 0 start. And you can choose to name your timeline whatever you want. So I'll just say testing. Oh, let's just say vertical. Let's just say vertical. So for video tracks and audio, I typically put 3, and that's because when I'm recording these videos, it actually exports 3 different files. If I only transfer over 1, it will never show those other 2 files. I have to always have 3. So just put 3 as a safety net. If you don't remember any of this, leave 3 as a safety net. Let's leave it in stereo for the track type. Uncheck your project settings, go over to format, and you want to change this to whatever frame rate you want. The easiest way to remember frame rates is 24p or 23.97 is typically filmic style. It just has kind of the slow shutter. If you're doing 30 frames per second, it looks more like TV. It's kind of lifelike, but not hyper sensitive like a soap opera. And if you want the soap opera YouTuber style, you can do 59.4. So I would just do 59.4 as an example because it's a YouTube short. But that's, again, this is all your preference. And then you have 1080p. You can choose to bump this all the way up to 4K if you want to change the resolution. But just keep in mind, when you do bump up your resolution to 4K, it will take a lot more on your computer to process a 4K timeline. So what some people do is they typically have a 1080p timeline just to edit on, and then when they go to export, they go back and rework it as a 4K. For video to be vertical, all we want to do is check mark this vertical section. This will unlock a whole new tab that you don't see right here. So let's do vertical resolution. Let's leave it in 1080p for now because on cell phones, it makes no sense to have a 4K vertical. And hit create. And now we have a whole new timeline. Now, when I did that, it actually changed my layout. So if you notice, all of my windows, I'm almost moving my hand as if you guys can see, but all these windows right here did move over to the right. And there's a reason why. And all of this down here is the same. If yours doesn't look like this, just go over to the very top, hit workspace, and you want to go down to where it says reset UI, and it should look like this. So this is exactly without my own custom presets. I'll go back and change later. This is just how yours should look. So now we can have our timeline. Now I like to keep my files organized. So let's hit right click on this inside of here, just anywhere, it doesn't matter. See that still pop up. Just hit rename bin, and let's change this to timeline. And anything with this check and the slant, this is your timeline setting. So if I create a new timeline, all of my timelines will populate inside this timeline by default. It's the only time that I realize they sync up that way. If not, you can just drag and drop them in like this. If I really wanted to, I could place this inside the bin. So now that we have it organized, we can go ahead and if we just want to, we can say videos, create a new bin, drag these over, and place these in our videos. So now we're only looking at videos. We don't have to look at anything else inside of our project. So now I'm going to drag in my video right here. And if you notice, automatically it's in a vertical layout. So you can see it is vertical and it's no longer a landscape video. Now I shot this well enough to where it's in the middle automatically. For your video, you may have to move it over, and I'll explain how to do that in a second. So on the right side of your screen, you can actually hit this little button right here, and voila, now you have a much larger screen. So this is what makes DaVinci so much better to me than a lot of other software, because you can actually see what you're doing. Now, if you notice, I have this big black square right here that I do not want to have on my video. To get rid of that, it's all at the top. You just go to single viewer mode, and now you get rid of that to get more real estate. And if you want to minimize to see your entire timeline, you just press these buttons right here. This is zoom in, this is zoom out, and this right here is usually your full timeline. So you can see everything on their timeline at once. Now there's some settings I'll get into. You can always pause the video and play back, but this is just to show you how to navigate this menu. So over here, let's go back to our timelines and let's change in our timeline settings. We have different options. You could choose the center crop with no resizing. This means your video will stay the same size, so it's no longer touching the top and the bottom. It's just keeping it more of the actual format, as you see right there. If I go back to this again, let's just show you the different options. You can choose scale image to fit. So it's gonna fit the entire image, the entire video that I shot, you know, landscape. It's gonna place inside of there. So on the phones, it will look weird. These black bars will be there. And then of course you have in timelines, you can go back to this. You can do stretch frame to all corners, and it will stretch the entire image. Now this will look the weirdest thing, but if you were going for that effect, you could do that. Or if it just needs to be a little bit larger, you could. But honestly, I always keep mine on this setting right here, which is scale to full frame with crop. It just means it will punch in, keep your resolution. It doesn't distort, pull anything back. It's usually on this setting by default, but if not, make sure you have that setting checked. Now, if you notice, if I play back my video, everything is playing out just fine. Now, some images, as you can see, some of the images are not entirely in the middle. So I have one where I'm like walking up, I think right about here, but I'm way off to the right. So as you can see, this is not what I want it to be. So for some images, like for instance right here, it's not actually showing my entire body in the center of the frame. So we would do what's called tracking, and this would just allow you to actually track your subject a little bit. You can do it the hard way, or you can just follow this simple method. So I would go back to where this clip ends. It's about right there. Let's just go back to the beginning. And you just want to hit B on your keyboard. You can cut. You can press A to go back to your mouse. If you notice, my mouse is changing. If you look right here, B is going to be cut like this. A is the mouse. B is cut, and A is the mouse. Or you can choose to select these up here too if you want to. If you ever forget, that's the same thing, but there's shortcuts to it. And your shortcuts would be the same as mine, at least for this particular portion, because I have not changed it. And let's go back over to the beginning, and let's just cut this right here. All right, so we want to make sure that my person is inside of this frame the entire time. As you can see, it is not. If I go over to the very top right here, you have Inspector. Now, this will change your layout a little bit, so don't be worried. Just hit Inspector. And on the monitor, at least you have the real estate to see what you're doing. On the laptop, this little screen right here may disappear if you're using a 21-inch screen. I realized that yesterday when I was helping out my dad. But over here, you can change your setting of your zoom, your position, and everything else. So we're going to do what's called keyframing. You start off at the very beginning of your video, press the button right here. This is your animation node. For a lot of other software, it's a lot more complicated. But just click that right there. It's going to automatically track it. And if you ever get off center, you'll see this little arrow that pops up. Just hit that, make sure at the very beginning. Let's scroll over to where my person's in the middle. Now let's go forwards a little bit. Right here is where I start moving. So let's mark it so that this all stays the same. Let's move forwards again. Let's drag this over to our middle. Move forwards again. Get it to right about my shoulder. And let's drag over again to the middle. And then right there, I guess I'll leave that the same. But if I wanted to, I can just move this last piece over some more. So I just dragged up a little bit. But as you see with these arrows, these are all my keyframing. Now, I know it doesn't look like much, but if I play it back, you'll see it.
I just wanted to have a cool video of B with the moon.
So that's your keyframing. Really, really simple. It's not that complicated. You have so many different cool tools that you do within keyframes. I can make a whole video on that by itself. At the top right here is your keyframe options. You can literally go over here, pop this out. You can go over to your little settings and let's change this to smooth out a little bit. And you'll see a difference in this. See, that's a little bit smoother. So it's not as robotic. So you can mess around with keyframing all day long. There's so many different settings in there, but that's for a whole other video. So over here you have like your zoom feature. I'll just show you. Let me go to, just remember you can click this right here. So you can zoom all the way out. If it doesn't show up the entire thing, just hit the little arrow. You can go to full extent zoom, and that just shows you your entire timeline. So let's just go over here, for instance, and I can choose to zoom in. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Make sure you are selected on your video clip. If this is not highlighted red, you're messing with a whole different clip. So make sure this is on there. If you ever mess up, just hit Control Z or Command Z on the Mac. And right here, we can choose to zoom in and out. So this is your zoom, this is your position on X, this is your position on Y. So think of if you played, or not played, if you're in school and you're doing math, this is your X and Y coordinate. X is going across, Y is vertical. That's all. You can change your anchor points, which I don't really care to use all the time. You can just rotate them. You can even go back to your pitch so you can stretch it. I have a big chin now. You can make your head big and warp it. And you can also change the yaw. So going sideways, left and right. This is what typically, you know, people that make cool, funny videos, they'll turn the angle to make it look more 3D. You have that option. If you notice, I'm hitting on the sides, this reset button. If I ever mess up right here, let me just rotate this on the angle. I can hit reset, which will reset just this track if you're just using it across. Or if I zoom in and let's move it all the way over, let's go anchor point. Let's just make some pitches. Let's say we've just made a whole bunch of mistakes, flipped it upside down, all that jazz. Just hit the very top, this one, and it'll reset everything back to normal. So that's it as far as your vertical goes. Now, there are some cool tips that you can do as far as the vertical setting. So if you would like to, this is another tip that some people typically do. Let's unlink this chain right here. Click this, make sure it's not lit up. Make sure this clip right here is red. You just want to hold down the Alt button and drag your mouse up when you left click it. This will duplicate the clip. So with this one, let's make this smaller. Let's just make it about like right here. And if you notice, this does look a little bit distracting, but there's a cool trick. I can actually go over to my effects tab at the very top. And in the effects tab, you have the options for so many different cool effects. Now, if you don't have the paid version, it will be limited. So I think for you guys, you can use on the free version, if I can spell it right, it's Gaussian blur. Now, I selected all folders. This is the little check mark at the top. And the reason being is if I go to actually current folder, it does not show up. Current folder picks it depending on the folder that you're in. So you have to actually search. Right now it's in the OpenFX, but I don't like doing all that. I just like to do a whole search. And so I select all folders at the very top with this little angle. So we're just gonna drop in our Gaussian blur, and we wanna make this drag onto the bottom clip. And now it starts to blur out the background. So when we play the video, now this is what it looks like. So on videos for cell phones, it'll look a little bit more cinematic. Now, if you want to separate the two, you can do a little trick. This is just an added touch. I don't know for sure if this is the paid version, so if it is, I'm sorry, but you can use paper edge. And let's drag in our paper edge on the top one. Let's go down to where it says edge contrast. I want to make this down to 0. And if you notice, it has like a little drop shadow. So it just separates you from the background, essentially. That's all it's doing. Another option, if you don't see paper edge, is border. This one, I don't know what it would look like. So let's just try it out. You can do color border. Oh, well, color border typically does it for the whole frame, which is why I don't like to use it. My trick is paper edge. If you ever mess up, you just hit Control Z to go back. Control Shift Z makes you go forwards, or Command Shift Z goes forwards, Command Shift, or Command Z goes backwards if you're on a MacBook. MacBook Command and Control is the same thing. Alt and Option is the same thing. So on Windows it's Alt, on Mac it's Option. Don't know why it's that way, but hey, it's that way. And I think we even have, we don't have an Alt, but you kind of get the picture. They're the same thing. So this is just the quick little tip. As you can see, it's playing through. Everything's automatically set to vertical. Now, if you don't like that color border, you can take it off. Or if it doesn't work for the free version, then don't even worry about it. If it does not work for the free version, you can also just do this tip right here. Let's go back to our effects and delete this. Just make sure you select the effects tab, trash can. Let's go back to our effects and let's do drop shadow. I know this does work for the free version. You can do the drop shadow, drag this on the top one right here, and let's change the blur to be a little bit sharper. Not entirely sharp. Let's change our distance to about right there. And just for the sake of this, let's go back to video. Now, do keep in mind, if you don't see your settings to change everything, just make sure you're not in the effects tab. You have to be in video. Let's just make this smaller so you guys can see what's happening. But you kind of get the picture. This is just what it's doing. So there you go. This is your vertical video. You can play through all these different things. You can change the speed, you can change the stabilization. There's so much that you can do. The cropping, you can literally crop out the video to the portion that you need. All these different tools are in there just to make it a lot easier for you. Now, the final thing, we want to export. So for DaVinci, it's the easiest way to read the software. It's literally from start to finish. So at the bottom, you have your media tab, you have your cut, edit, literally follow this through. This is how you edit your video. So media, again, to refresh, is where you pull in your data. You can pull it in from the left side right here, or you can use my folder, my finder, and drag those clips in. Just drag them down to your media pool. Do not change your settings. Just don't change it. Just drag it. You can go up to your edit page where you can edit, or you can choose to edit and cut if you like to. As you see, this is what we did in cut. It just translates it over. I think, oh cool, they added it for the cut page. I didn't know that. But for cut, it may be easier for you guys if you just like a linear setup. If you use the Final Cut Pro, this is what it looks like. I just can't stand that anymore. I used to use it, but I don't like it. Over here, we have our Fusion tab. This is where you can animate. You have color. You can change the color of your clips. As you see right there, this is changing. Let's just hit Control Z. Far light is where you change your music. And then we have the rocket ship that's deliver. This is where we want to deliver. So let me actually move my face around. This is my clip right here. Let's just make this a little bit smaller so we can see all of what we have rendering. That's this right here. For the render queue, make sure this does say render entire timeline. If you do in and out range, it will only do the range of where this is. So let me click off of this. If I drag this over, it's only rendering out this part of video. It's not rendering the last part. So make sure it is on the entire timeline. Over here is where you change all of your settings. Now, if you want the easiest way, this is your custom export. You can do a much easier way and just click YouTube. It just sets it up for the best YouTube format. If you go to custom, for me, I have a MacBook. Typically, it will try to make it go to MOV file, and I just do not like MOV files at all. So make sure you have this scroll over, click YouTube. Automatically, by default, it has MP4, H.264, all these numbers that I understand, but it may not make sense starting off for a new person. Don't worry about that jazz. Leave this all the same. Don't touch a single thing. Just leave it. I have a deeper dive on YouTube settings if you want to learn exactly what to change and what's the best formats, how to link your YouTube. Right now, mine is linked so I can actually post directly to YouTube, as you see down here. But honestly, just leave it as your basic setting. Over here, you can change the name, but I don't change my name in here, and I'll show you why. Just hit browse. Browse will pull up your menu. Make sure you create your own folder and save it wherever you would like to. You can change the name over here. Let's just say, I don't know, test. I'm just doing this as an example. Let's just hit save. And as you see, it will automatically save the name, the location, everything. It put it all right here. And you just want to make sure that you select add to render queue, because if you don't do add to render queue, it won't show up at all. So hit add to render queue. If you're working on your video for the very first time, it will say render all. If I add in, let's just change, let's change our setting. Let's add another one. Yes, I understand it'll be upscale, blah, blah, blah. If I have a second render, because you can change different things and render multiple times, make sure it says render one, where it's only rendering that video. Or you can drag over and you can render all, or let's just put another one. Let's just say add. It'll say render two, but you kind of get the picture. You can hit X on all of these right here. Once you render it out, it'll be inside that folder that you selected. And that is it. That is your video from start to finish. So as a recap, download DaVinci Resolve 20. You just want to run through your settings, your media, your edit, and then go back to deliver, and you're done. Just keep in mind, if you do get lost, I have clip notes within the video to kind of help you out, but everything's very, very simple. Again, you have your media, your effects, you have your inspector, and over here, you have your little icon. So if you look for audio, this is your mixer, but that's it as far as the setting layout goes. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do have any questions, if you have any suggestions, please let me know. I'm always looking for more videos to create for you guys. It does help me out and also helps you out. It's a win-win situation. And with that, I will see you guys on the next video.